Have you ever wondered what being in the inner circle at Disney World looks like? I'm not talking about the exclusive Club 33 membership. I'm talking about annual pass holders. The annual pass disappeared for quite some time, but they resurfaced again in April of 2023. With all the hubbub, we asked our readers, do you think a Disney World annual pass is worth it?
Touchy subject, I feel like. I think we're going to have a lot of opinions, but we welcome that here with our cast, and I'm very excited to hear about it because I know we all have different opinions because we've all talked about this so many times. So we're asking, is an annual pass worth it? An annual pass is basically, a season pass to Disney World. They can be very expensive and, not as many perks as they used to, but we'll get into it later. So it's a very hot topic right now. They just came back just less than a month ago. They started reselling them again since 2021, and then after that, COVID, so it's a recent topic that we need to discuss. So I want to know right off the bat, who's got opinions? Is an annual pass worth it?
This guy right here, I'm going to say yes, 100 times yes. And I know that might be surprising because I live in California, that I'm saying I think getting an annual pass in Florida is worth it, but I have my reasons. And before we even get into this, let's first start off by mentioning that, these are options, right? This is an option. No one is required to get the pass, no one can determine if you should get an annual pass but you, right? There are lots of factors to consider, there's cost, there's time, how many times you visit Orlando or, visit Walt Disney World. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you, but we're going to give you the information, we're going to give you some knowledge, and you can make that decision yourself. Now, for me, I'm going to say yes. I think that it is definitely worth it, especially if you're someone like me who comes to Walt Disney World multiple times a year. There are great and very, very many perks that you get with the passes. And our reader, Arnold L, agrees. Arnold says, we have been annual pass holders for a while now. And while the price has gone up, we love it. We get benefits, our own turnstile, a happy place. I mean, you guys have to agree with that, right? The turnstile thing is pretty convenient. I mean, that line be lining. Hello, somebody. Like, to have your own little, oh, hi. Oh, no, I'm not getting in this line. I'm going in this one. But you guys have fun.
I went this morning to Magic Kingdom, and the pass holder line was much longer than the line that I got into, and it does work. I understand it's VIP. I love you. I know we love the paparazzi and the velvet rope, but it's really not sometimes, a lot of times, the fastest way to actually get into a park from my experience.
Well, let's break down what the annual pass prices are, okay?
So basically, there are 4 different passes when it comes to buying an annual pass for Disney World. You've got the Pixie Dust Pass for $3.99, which is the lowest level. Pirate Pass for $7.49. Sorcerer Pass for $9.69. And then the Incredipass for almost $1,400. Now, the Incredipass is the only one that you can buy if you are not a Florida resident. So if you don't live in Florida, that's your only option. It's the most expensive one. However, doesn't have any blockout dates. It has the most amount of park reservations available. Like, it's the highest tier. So depending on where you live, more than likely you're going to have to end up buying the Incredipass. So, which is what I just bought.
That's right. The Incredipass is still cheaper than the highest tier annual pass at Disneyland. I paid $1,500 for my annual pass. I think $1,599 actually. And that's for 2 parks. Okay? The Incredipass gets you 4 parks. You've got Disney Springs. You got all of the incredible, resorts, which of course you don't need a pass to get into, but, there's just such a broader option that you get by purchasing this pass. And I feel like, it's worth it, especially if you are a Disney fan, if you love to visit the parks throughout the year for different festivals. I'm sure you can agree. I think that Breedlove, your opinion may be different, but I'm sure you can agree as an Epcot lover. There are several festivals throughout the year that families might want to visit multiple times. And I think that alone makes it worth it.
I'm honestly, I hate to admit it. This is not my final opinion yet. I have to think about this. I have to hear all the arguments, but I'm somebody who drinks the Disney Kool-Aid. And you were listing out those prices and I was like, what a steal. That's not true. It's not a steal. But I am the person who likes to go to all of the festivals. And like for me, even before I moved to Florida, when I still lived in Tennessee, we ended up buying annual passes because it just made sense. We can come down and stay at a Disney Springs hotel for significantly cheaper than staying on other places on property. Quickly go, we can go have a fun weekend and then come back because I'm flying Spirit, baby. I'm balling on a budget. And in the end of the day, buying an annual pass helps me ball on a budget. But that's because I know I'm going to be here a lot.
Our reader Dana S. totally agrees with you. They typically go on an 8 or 10-day trip. And they save usually $400 to $500 a person. Like, balling on a budget is a thing, you guys. At $130 per day, you would need to visit Walt Disney World about 11 days each year to make the price of the IncrediPass, $1,399, break even. And I think that a lot of families and a lot of people, especially people who are local, probably do that. And so that could be a huge benefit. Krista M says, for us, it's a yes. We're just a couple of hours away. So we like to go over for the day or a short weekend trip. We use it more than I ever imagined. Well, I know that, Breedlove and Emma, you guys are AP locals. I mean, you gotta have some thoughts on it.
I have probably a very controversial opinion and one that will make people not like me hate me again because it's sort of the same category, but it's okay. Look, I'm 41 years old, okay? I am someone who has both invested their entire my entire life in Walt Disney World and studying and analyzing and learning every single day, everything I can about this magical place. I literally chose to live in a place where I can watch the fireworks from Epcot and Magic Kingdom. Like my whole life, my dog's name is Daisy, okay? You don't have to question how much of a Disney fan I am. I'm also a responsible 41-year-old. I don't know how all the time responsible I am, but I've lived long enough to where I know when it makes sense to spend money and when maybe it makes sense to cut corners and save. And I have a really hard time advising families, advising hardworking people all over this country, all over the world, that it's a good idea to purchase the Disney dining plan from a financial standpoint, that it's a good idea to buy into DVC from a financial standpoint, and that it's wise to purchase an annual pass from a financial standpoint. Now, I fully understand the argument of knowing these things are in place when you are going to Disney World give you year-round comfort, okay? I get it. And if that is the truth for you and you have the money in your budget to pay for this stuff, then by all means go for it. But if you are like I have always been, where it's the biggest deal in the world to go for a couple days with your family, if you get like 4 days in the parks and 5 nights in hotels, you are on top of the world. And it's a huge deal. And maybe you could do that once a year. No. The annual pass is not for you. It was not for me until I moved here. And that's the way it is. Have I been too intense?
I think we know where you stand for sure.
I think
in case anybody was like, what's Breedlove gonna say? I think that they know.
I love people. I love people, and I want them to have the best of everything. Please don't go into debt. Please don't go into debt for DVC or the dining plan, or I'm telling you, I will make you a list of quick service restaurants. You won't even know. You won't even know that you missed out on the Disney dining plan. My mom's whole Disney World experience is the Disney dining plan. Picking the restaurants, making the reservations, making sure we get to the reservations, deciding ahead of time what food she's going to order to get the most out of it. And you know what we did on the last day of every vacation? We went and bought cereal treats to get all our snacks in and went home at a deficit of money, okay? We did not get our money's worth.
Well, see, okay, you make that list, Breedlove, and I will make the list on for those who can and how to use it smartly and wisely. So you don't end up just buying Rice Krispie treats, because there's other things, honey, that you can buy and you can take home and be souvenirs. There's two sides to every penny, and I completely agree with you on that. And I'm guessing that you're leaning towards more no. Breedlove, is that what you're?
I'm not the only one. Harry T said I did have an annual pass, but now they want me to pay for photos and water parks for extra. Okay, this is another viewpoint that I have to take into consideration. Perks have gone away. Okay, and we're not just talking about the annual passes. I know the Top of the World Lounge, when they turned it into Villain's Lair, it went from being a DVC perk to something you have to actually pay money to make a reservation to go to. So a lot of DVC members were really upset about that when that happened. Obviously, Harry T is upset about having to pay for PhotoPass and to get pay extra to add water parks to the annual pass when that used to be included standard. My other concern is for out-of-towners. You know, the difference between the Incredipass and the Sorcerer Pass is basically like something like 4 days. It's like holidays that are the difference, and it's a difference of $430. So certainly for Florida residents, I don't recommend, unless Christmas Day is like the like most important thing to you, or Thanksgiving Day. It makes me feel horrible that you have to pay for the top level pass as an out-of-towner and pay up front with it for it, because there's no payment plan when you're when you're not a Florida resident. Also, you have to pay for it all up front. So again, if it's in your means,
we do have monthly options in California for our other passes. So I
know you better have that credit card cleared out and ready to go, or cash in hand. Monique W said, location. For me, I'm too far, and it's going to take too much money to go a lot. But if I lived there, I would be an annual pass holder 100%. And this is exactly how I feel.
And I will say that back in 2017, my family, we had 2 trips planned to Disney World. We were going to go once on Easter weekend, and then we were going to go again on Thanksgiving break. It's like we were already planned. Everything was good. When we were on our vacation during Easter weekend, we all of a sudden had the thought, why do we not become annual pass holders? That would save us so much money for the trip in November. So we ended up getting annual passes for just 1 year, just for that year, because it was going to save us money on that second trip that we already had planned that we were going to do no matter what. So maybe if your family is going to come to maybe 3 times during the year, then maybe you consider an annual pass, because you would save money in the long run for your tickets. And then you get discounts and things on some dining locations and merch. But I don't know, we'll see. It's kind of, you have to figure out what your situation is, because sometimes it can help and sometimes it would be too much money for you to spend.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a middle ground here, which you guys know. I'm a both sides of the pillow kind of girl. Like, I always want to know, there's always pros and cons to both. And that's where I'm sitting in all of this. And one other thing about kind of like making sure it's worth it for you, don't just plan your park days like you're going from one ticket. If you're park hopping, you're going to have to factor that price in too. But we'll get back to my middle ground part. So as far as I go, I have family members who do something a little bit different. Maybe not everybody is buying a pass. I think the perfect middle ground is going to be, yes, it's worth it, but maybe for only one person in your family. Maybe not every single person has to have a ticket. And I actually have family members that do this. So I feel like I have firsthand knowledge. There are some creative ways to have all the perks of the annual pass. If you're traveling with your family or a group of people and they don't have an annual pass, but you do, you still get the perks. You can still get those discounts. Like, for example, my mom just got her first annual pass. So my family's coming down and they're staying on property. And even though they don't have an annual pass, they're getting that discount because my mom's paying for the room and then they're all splitting it later. Savannah P., who is a Florida resident who lives about 3 hours from Disney, says that she thinks they are definitely worth it. She loves going whenever, and when she has a break from school, it basically pays for herself for 2-night visits of being pass holders, and she can't ignore those discounts. The discounts, I think, personally, are the biggest perk for the annual pass. Like Breedlove talked about earlier, there are a lot of missing perks that we used to have that aren't necessarily there anymore. And they have just announced some new perks. This week, they're bringing back a lot of things. They're adding some new things. But still the biggest one, in my opinion, is going to be those discounts. First off, you get free parking. Right now, it's approximately $25 to pay for parking a day, and that can really add up, especially if you're coming to Disney World for multiple days. Now, I will say, pro tip, if you do have to pay for parking, that's okay. If you're park hopping, though, bring that original receipt because it will count for your second park. You do not have to pay twice. Do not pay $50. Only pay $25. Save yourself some cash. Also, if you're the annual pass person in your family and you opt in for the photo pass, like I have, make sure you're the one scanning your band for the cast members because then all of your family and friends can get their photos. Also, if you're connected on the app, you can still see your family and friends' photos and download them for them. I have a lot of friends when they come to Disney World, I tell them, I know that you're not buying it. Fry Bucket is one of them, but still scan for your photos and I will send them to you. Save your cash. So sometimes it makes sense for one person in your party to add that upgrade, but definitely not everybody. Finally, I know that Rona F is on my team too because she says she's grateful for her son who's an annual pass holder because of all the discounts he gets her. And that's a child right there. If I ever have a kid, I hope he's also getting me the discounts. That's the purpose of a child, right? To get you all the discounts. You can get them at restaurants, snack spots, all throughout the parks and the hotels. There are certain third-party operated restaurants that might not offer that annual pass holder discount, but almost every single Disney exclusive dining option does. And even if I know for a fact they don't offer a discount, I'm still asking. I'm waiving that annual pass because there's a reason I have it and I want to start saving some cash. Typically, pass holders get about 10% off their entire bill, not including alcohol, unfortunately, for those of us who drink. And typically, you can find those discounts at restaurants in Disney Springs, too. So even if you're not going to a park, get that annual pass out. Do not miss on catching your bag, even if it's only 10% of a bag. Every dime adds up, Plus, if you're looking for a morning or even an afternoon pick-me-up, you can even get 20% off at Joffrey's, which has honestly saved me enough money that I can go back to Joffrey's and forget that I saved the money in the first place. Even on merchandise, most of the time pass holders can get 20% off of their purchases at Disney shops. And not only that, but in Disney Springs, pass holders can even get discounts at popular retailers like Pandora and Columbia, which my family has used more than they have on actual Disney merchandise. Because my brother doesn't necessarily want a Mickey Mouse Christmas Disney sweater that he's going to wear in the middle of May, but he does want a Columbia jacket, So there are a lot of perks, especially when it comes to discounts. I think that's the best thing. And if your family isn't going to come to Disney World a ton, but maybe one of you can justify it, like mom maybe taking herself for a weekend, and then you get to benefit from the discounts the rest of the year, I highly recommend it. I think that's the sweet spot to live in.
I want to know, because at some point, at least we all have been AP pass holders. We know the drill. So what are some ways that people might not know about, ways to use that annual pass to its advantage? Maybe some little sneaky tips and tricks? Because I know on this team, we have some up our sleeves.
I'd like to honor the fact that there is a lot of pass holder exclusive merchandise that comes out. And while I don't live in that world personally, where I'm obsessed with wearing my pass holder identity, on me, I love that people love it. So if that's something that you love, then I think that's a good argument for having an annual pass. It is something cool that comes with being a pass holder. The other thing is the use of mobile checkout in certain stores in Walt Disney World has made using your annual pass discount a lot easier because it lives in the pass. On a normal basis, you have to pull out both your ID and your annual pass, show them to the cast member in order to get your discount. But when you do it, when you purchase it from the app, It applies it automatically, and you never have to pull those out. You just show a QR code.
And there's also a really good perk too if you are into going to a lot of the Disney after hour events, like the Mickey's Very Merry Holiday Party or the Not So Scary Halloween Party. You could actually, a lot of times they'll allow pass holders to purchase tickets before everyone else. So you can make sure that, the tickets don't always run out, but if you have your heart set on being the first there, the first day, you have a better chance of doing that if you are a pass holder, which, as Emma said, doesn't necessarily mean that everyone needs to be a pass holder, but if someone is, they could buy the tickets for everyone else.
And you get a discount.
I also have one more argument that is, okay, I'm going to kind of shift to breed love right now, okay? And the only reason I'm bringing this argument is because Disney recently just dropped a huge discounted 4-day park ticket called the 4-Park Magic Ticket. And, this is another reason why an annual pass may not necessarily be for you, depending upon, how many trips you have planned throughout the year. And Disney does this. A lot of times when it comes to, high volume, high crowd times like this summer or spring, they will come out with some sort of deal or sale on a ticket. I think the current one as of, summer 2023 is something like, you can visit 4 parks, 4 different parks a day, and it's ends up being $396, which is pretty awesome. And if you're a Florida resident, it's $58. So, you got to look out for these, sales that Disney likes to throw in occasionally and really balance it. Is it worth me getting a pass? Is it worth me getting these tickets? Or is it worth me just calling my good friend Emma and saying, hey, Emma girl, I'm going to use those discounts, babe, because I'm coming through.
Also, to add on top of that, talking about discounts, there's almost always hotel discounts for annual pass holders, and that can be even up to 35% off of a hotel. So that's a big deal. That's a big discount, which Disney will do sometimes at certain times of the year. So always look for that. One thing to note on that, you have to look for the discount yourself. Disney isn't going to automatically apply it. So when you are booking your vacation, you have to do it yourself, unfortunately. So just something to keep in mind, but there's discounts everywhere. There's so many discounts. We've got all the resources on our website, so be sure and go check them out because we want to make sure that you save as much money as possible when it comes to Disney because it's very expensive. So we are on your side helping you save money. Another thing, you have half as many options of annual pass now. There used to be 8 offered, and now there's only 4. The flexibility, it's almost hard to believe how much flexibility there was in terms of pass type, and having that reduced to only 4 now, it seems harder for you to find a pass that's actually perfect for you, and seems like it might force you into a box that's not necessarily tailor-made for the way that you go to Walt Disney World. One of the things that I loved that's not offered anymore was a pass that allowed you to go to Epcot after 4 p.m. and it was only like $319. It was like $319, and you could go to Epcot any day of the year. No blackout dates ever. You could go on New Year's Eve after 4 p.m. if they hadn't reached capacity, and go to Epcot. Now, that is something that if I was a different person, but I still loved Epcot as much as I do, I would definitely want that pass. Oh yeah,
I loved it that there was a pass
for dinner.
Yes, it honored Epcot fans. That's so cool.
All right, for the most part, obviously we all love Disney annual passes. Most of us are pass holders. However, it is important, just like with anything on a Disney vacation, make sure it's right for you and your family because it can be different based on whatever trip you're going on. So obviously do a whole lot of research beforehand. Again, we have all of the resources on our website at AllEars.net, so please go check them out before you decide to make a big purchase. And if you do decide to buy an annual pass, welcome to the club. Please join us. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And now go watch our episode on what it would take for you to book a cruise on a Disney Cruise Line. See you there. Please be our friend. So that felt kind of weird. If you
I
like,
liked it. It was
if you like
sweet.
this, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
It was
Okay, good. Then I feel better. Okay.
I loved it.
If you like this
Did you
video, be
see
sure
me?
to. Oh, I saw you going like this.
I was going like this, and I was like, yeah, come, join us.
Friend.
So how do the new people do it? Like, how do general Gen Z do it now?
oh, like this.
Is that your middle finger?
I have it as my middle finger, but it shouldn't be.
That would be
You can
dangerous.
just move this one more easily.
Wait.
Because of my sorority signs. It's supposed to be these, but my sorority sign was so complicated that I can do it easily.
I can't do that. I'll practice.